Hey guys, it's Deena. Welcome to FlyNubianQueen.com, the network for melanated women just like you and me. So glad that you guys can join me here, June 23rd, Sunday at 7 p.m. I'm here every 7 p.m. That's Pacific time, and 10 p.m. East Coast time for those back east. I'm just waiting for a few of you guys to get in. Tonight's discussion is going to be part two or round two or the second time around. Last week we were having technical issues discussing this topic. Are Black women prone to settle for less in particular? Guys, I just want to make sure that people can hear me. So let me see. Can you guys just type a 1 if everybody can hear me okay? If you can hear me okay, last time we were having some technical issues. Let's see. We got about 15 people, 16 people. I see the numbers are coming in. If you haven't already, could you please hit the like button? Can you please subscribe if you haven't to this channel already? There were some interesting comments that came up. Hey, Charles Moore, hey, Hanaya Owens, hi guys, thank you. Okay, good. So now that I know everyone can hear me okay, that's awesome. I'm gonna go over to, I posted this question earlier. Thank you for the likes and the hearts and the shares. Thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate that you spend some time with me on a Sunday evening on FlyNubianQueen.com. So let's see. Earlier today, I posted this. It was about an hour beforehand. I posted this question, and it seems like I got even more comments and discussion going in the chat we had. So I'm going to read some of this for you guys. Thank you, Joanne and Trudy. I'm so glad to see you guys are here. So we want to talk about Black women being prone to settling for less. Are we prone to settle for less? And if we are, why? What have been some of your experiences? Is it something that is kind of prevalent in our community? Is it something that we feel like we have to settle for less? Is this coming from historical things such as slavery, feeling like, you know, we had to make do and, of course, work that Black girl magic that we are so famously known for and make something out of nothing? And now that we're in a time where it's not as restrictive, we still have maybe enslavement of the mind or chains in our mind that are causing us to feel like we don't want to take up as much space? Or is it just the opposite? Maybe, I know there was a young lady here. I want to read some of these comments from earlier. Soray Nichols says, no, we are not. Carl Donald McCougan says, hello, Queen. Hi, how you doing, King? Hey, it is officially summer, in case you guys didn't know. So I got, you know, my summer earrings and my pink lipstick on. I'm feeling all bright and sunny today. Okay, so let me go to these comments that they were making on the FlyNubianQueen.com Facebook page. We had Mia J. Adore say, it's funny because a lot of us are told that our standards are too high, which is why we can't find a man or keep one. So I asked her, how does that make you feel? Please join us so we can discuss this. And someone else, DJ, wrote, Nia J. Adore, that's not the only reason. In most cases, it's the minimal of all the possible reasons. I respect the thought and your position, but I highly doubt that is typically the case. There is some validity to what you're saying, but overall, absolutely not. I'm stating this with genuineness, and I love queens. Okay, so DJ is saying that he doesn't think it's the case that some of us are told that our standards are too high. You know, I've experienced that. Sometimes I have experienced that, you know, I'm dreaming big, I'm thinking big, and I have definitely, we talked about this in a previous video where you have the naysayers. Sometimes they are in the Negro or the Black community, and we call them Negro naysayers, and they will come around and try to tell you, girl, how you gonna do that? Who you think you are, thinking that you're gonna be you ain't gonna be able to do all that? I mean, girl, you black. I mean, come on. You know the white folks ain't trying to hear all that. That ain't about to be happening for you. Who you think you are? You're not some kind of celebrity. You do hear that. I mean, that happens in, I think, all types of communities. But I do feel like when people are trying to really reach for the stars, even with this reparations thing that's going on, it's kind of funny because we started talking about this last Sunday, and then on Wednesday, this whole reparations thing, and I watched it. And it was really interesting to see how often the people who were on the panel presenting to Congress, the economist, the female economist, I don't want to check. I don't need a check. Then there was the reverend, or what, he was like a Catholic bishop or priest or something. I don't need a check. You know, I think it was Ta-Nehisi didn't say that, I think, but it was like several other people who were like, I don't need a check. Oh, we don't need a check. When it comes to a check, I'm not saying we need to cut a check. Why are we settling for less than everybody else got? Is that like a black thing? Maybe it's not just specific to black women, but maybe it's just a black people thing. Like we feel like we can make do with less. But is that true? Are we really truly living our best life and doing the best that we can do? I would hazard to say that maybe some of us, our standards are not high enough. So that goes back to what Nia J. Adore was saying. Sometimes when black people in the community have tried to come along and say, hey, we need to set a higher standard. Say, for example, right, this is controversial. Let's talk about Mr. Bill Cosby now. We already know he got locked up for rape, right? But do you guys remember when Bill the Pill, as they call him now, was going around, you know, as an elder saying, you know what, y'all need to pull y'all pants up, and y'all need to, you know, y'all young black men need to do, you know, just being like grandpa and, you know, the elder of the community. And yeah, you know, it wasn't pleasant to hear those things, but did he have a point in trying to maybe raise some of our young men's standards and how they were dressing and telling them to put on a belt and pull up their pants? Was there something wrong with that? The pushback in the community may be causing us, some of us, to settle for less because we get a certain amount of pushback from the community when we try to raise the community standards. And so say, for example, if you try to raise your own standards and then people are looking at you like, do you think you're better? You think you're better than us? Oh, who she thinks she is? Look at her. Oh, what, you don't do that. Oh, she bougie. Girl, you ain't nobody. You ain't nobody. And then we celebrate all of this, I want to say like low country culture, you know, hood culture. And that's celebrated and elevated. Like, where did this come from? Because I do remember the 60s, the 70s, even the 80s, things started to shift. But even in the 80s, there was like a certain amount of pride in dressing well and being educated and going after your dreams and Black achievement, getting married before you had kids, things of that nature. But now we're at a place where it's almost like you're shamed if you haven't had kids, you know, by the age of 30. What's wrong with you? Why are you 35? Oh, you ain't got no kids? You ain't never been married? Or what? And there's many circumstances that go into that, but could it be that that particular person has made some decisions around their life and kept their standards high? Not to shame people who did have kids or, you know, decided, you know, did get married young or whatever. You know, I'm just saying, like, when we see a person who has a certain standard and plan for their life, does the community or do certain people in the community tend to shame them and want to bring them down to a level? Let's hear from you guys. Let's hear some more. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit. Hello, Ricky. Hello, Marion. Hello, Luetta Williams. First time I'm seeing you. Hi. I'm so happy to see you here. Thank you for joining. Tracy Reed Richardson. Hello. Okay, let me see if I can get past the hellos. Hello to you all. Thank you for being here. I'm like this. What you see is what you get. Okay, what you see is what you get. So what do you mean by that? Can you expand on that a little bit more? Have you ever settled? Or do you have a personal philosophy about getting what you want out of life and aiming high? I'd love to hear a little bit more from you, Luetta. Carl McDonald McDougan, trillions are owed to us. Honey, I don't care what they talking about. I want that check and I want some land, because that was supposed to be owed to us from the very day that they supposedly set us free. And I know my ancestors didn't get it. I don't know. I don't see no 40 acres inheritance or anything in the family tree. So, it did, what did you guys think about that? Because I felt like we were settling. They talk about apologies and things like that. Apologies. I mean, okay, but is that it? Because I'm not willing to settle for that. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but are we prone to settling for less? Is that kind of ingrained into our culture? Is that a part of the mental slavery that maybe some of us have not broken out of yet? Let me hear from you guys. Some of us, Mel Anthony Catholic, with 2 C's, says some of us are willing to settle for less. The rest of us want everything that is owed to us. Yes. Okay, King, let's talk about that a little bit more. Why do you feel entitled? Let's talk about that feeling that you have. The ones who feel that they do not settle. What gives you the fuel? What fuels that fire to say, no, thank you. I deserve better. Let's see. Hey, Demon. Hey, Craig Muhammad. What's the topic, Queen? The topic is, are Black women prone to settling for less? And then now we're going to expand a little bit more, because last week we touched on this, but the sound wasn't good. So we're going to expand a little bit more and talk about, because of the thing that happened with reparations, the reparations hearing this week, we're just going to touch on the fact that our representatives that were there seemed to be willing to settle for less than a check. That it was kind of said several times by a lot of the different panelists that I'm not looking for no check, or I don't need a check, and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, I feel like I'm owed, my ancestors were owed, and it's called inheritance. So since we weren't able to inherit anything because labor was stolen, I'm gonna need that check and some land. But I did hear a lot of our elders, and I'm wondering if that's something that has been ingrained, and maybe that's even manifested in our community and the younger generations today, that they settle for less because the elders were expecting less. And I don't know. It's like a really complicated thing. That's why I wanted to hear from you guys. Craig Muhammad, no one should ever settle. You should always expect the best. How do you put that forward when you're surrounded by people who are settling? Craig, you got some ideas on that? Joanna Richardson says, my confidence, my self-worth. Sandra Blythe Jenny says, we need to stop trying to look like them, walk, talk like them, and trying to be as much like them as possible for us on finding out who we are and uniting together. Sandra, I agree with you on a part of that. But there's this thing that I experienced. I don't know if any of you guys have experienced this in your life, where my parents, I grew up in a 2-parent household, me and my younger brother, and they were very, all about, pronunciation and reading and education and being on the honor roll and, getting your home. Oh, you don't have no homework? Well, we're going to find some homework for you. Like, let's see, let's get this newspaper and read these articles and write an essay. Like, that was my household. And my dad was not about, sitting around or, playing around and all that kind of stuff. He was focused on, making sure that we spoke properly, that we were dressed, neat, we were clean, that we presented well out in the world. We had manners. And I have to say that was picked on and discouraged when I went out into the community to play with, neighborhood kids, when I went to certain schools, walking and talking like them, just speaking proper English and knowing a few big words and enjoying reading a book and not wanting to, throw rocks and all that kind of stuff and curse and all that was considered to be acting like them, acting white, when it is just simply holding your children and holding yourself to a higher standard, that you don't have to use curse words as a child, that you didn't have to use slang. Yeah, you can use slang. There's nothing wrong with using slang, but that's not the only way you know how to speak. That you do know how to use words properly, that you understand English and how to use it, that you know how to do math, and maybe you like your science class. Is that trying to be like them? Is holding yourself to a higher standard trying to be like them? Now, I'm not saying that's what you're saying, Sandra, but I'm just saying, like, maybe we need to abandon some of the stereotypes that are associated as being Black. So maybe, Sandra, can you expand on that a little bit more? What do you think is being more like us versus more like them? I'd love to get into that, because I do think that feeds into settling a little bit. I see the lighting changing, so let me just adjust something really quickly, guys. Okay, thank you for your comment, Sandra. Craig Muhammad, we are all owed something. Yes, Rhonda Davis says, how about we don't pay any taxes for 10 years? 10 years? How about the rest of our lives? How about for the rest of our lives? How about we get some tax breaks going on, for a few generations? How many generations were our people enslaved? We don't have to pay any taxes for that amount of generations going forward. That would be reasonable, right? What do you guys think? But we got to put our foot down. We can't settle for no BS, no, oh, we're going to apologize. That's all cool, but that needs to be backed up by a check. Change your surroundings. Yes, that is absolutely important, to change your surroundings. You get what you aim for, says Charles Moore. We were not born knowing what we know today, Malcolm X. Absolutely, Sandra Blythe Jennings. Carl Donald McGugan. The white people who inherited all that money from our ancestors' work are living well. I've been in so many communities and just see how they live. Is well off for them, but when you come into Black communities, it's not the same. Now, let's talk about that a little bit. Are we as a community settling for less by allowing our communities to go into disrepair? Because, yeah, there could be a slumlord, right? Yeah, there could be, they may not be sending the trash people around to collect as often as they do in other neighborhoods. Yeah, they could be allowing some crime to go on in the neighborhood and kind of turning a blind eye to certain crimes while over enforcing on other crimes. And we know that. But where do we take responsibility and raise our standards and not settle for the fact that this is just the hood, this is just how it is, it's just dirty and gross, and come together as a community and expect more and kind of raise our standards for our own personal community? When do we decide that instead of just settling for the neighborhood being gross and disgusting, or the building that you live in being gross and disgusting, how about getting together with some of the community members and deciding that, you know what, let's do a little volunteer thing with the church or something on the weekends, every other weekend, and we go around and we kind of like pick up in the community. And we start to let people know that, hey, this is our community. We love our community. We need to raise our standards and maybe recruit some of the kids, some of the Sunday school kids. And I know people like to think that the kids are so bad, but you would be surprised that some of those kids would jump on board with that. They would be happy to see that someone cares about the environment that they are living and growing up in. When do we do that? Is that something that you guys feel that we can do instead of just simply going to another's neighborhood, looking at what they got and being like, we ain't got all that over here? Do we need to raise our standards in our own community? Is that something that we need to do, and stop settling for less in our community and take a little bit more responsibility? Yeah, no, we deserve what we're owed. But in the meantime, while we're working towards that, let's raise our standards. What do you think? Can we do that, queens? Are some people already doing that? Maybe some people are already doing that. Have you been met with opposition when you tried to do that, or have you been supported? I'd love to hear some more stories and comments from you guys. Sandra Blythe Jenny says, until we unite, we will give the money right back to them. Buy black and love one another. Stop watching so much TV media for us on people like you. Okay, baby. I totally get what you're saying. I do feel like we're coming together. I don't know if you've been seeing some of the movement and the changes that are happening online and just in conversations that people are having in the community with friends and family. I do feel like we are uniting. Of course, we're not going to be able to get everybody 100% on board, but as long as we have that core group of people, and that's one of the reasons that I come here and talk to us as queens, and definitely I always welcome the kings in as well to talk about these things. Women really set the tone. Queens, we set the tone. So if we're settling for certain things in our community, if we're settling for certain things personally in our lives, then how can the bar be raised? Because we set the standard. We set the standard and the tone in relationships. If we're willing to allow that man to come into our lives who is so fine and, this, is, and the other, but we know he's no good. And we're willing to allow him to lay with us with no commitment, no financial investment into us as a person or the relationship. And we know that there's a possibility that we might end up procreating with this person. Where are our standards at that point? Are they low? Are we settling just to get some good real quick? Aren't you worth more than that? Than just a quick, hit it and quit it? Just because he's fine or we heard he's slanging, Things like that. Like, we want to start to raise our standards, if we haven't already, in the community, and it starts with self. So first of all, there's sayings where they say what is that saying? How a community treats its woman, or how the woman looks from a certain community, will let you know how that community is operating. If the woman is trashed, the community is trashed. If the woman is held up in high regard and put on a pedestal and worship, that community, you will go into that community and you will see that community is held in high regard and put up on the pedestal and worship. Because the woman, this kind of gets into the 5% logic, but I do agree with it on some of it, where they say like the woman is a representation of the earth because it is life-giving, it is fruit-bearing. And I do see that where they get that correlation from. So if you go into a community and you look around and you see that community is trash, take a look around and look at the women, the young women, the older women, the women in between, and see where they are. 9 times out of 10, they're not getting respect. They're not respecting themselves, and they're probably trashing themselves, treating themselves bad, and not having high standards. They're probably settling for a lot less. Because if they weren't, you would see that reflected in the environment around them. It's very difficult for two opposing things to share a similar space. Does that make sense, people? If you are holding yourself in a high regard, but everything around you is garbage, either you're going to end up lowering yourself down in your vibrational energy, or you're going to take off and you're going to be off into another environment. If something's going to happen where you're going to have to shift, that energy is not going to sustain each other. It's going to be in opposition. So that's why you find a lot of times when people start to elevate their thinking and raise their standards, they end up moving out of those environments. They end up distancing themselves from some family members. They end up breaking off that relationship. They end up losing a bunch of weight, and next thing you know, they're just in a totally different life. Like, I feel my life shifting right now. There's a lot of changes and shifts that I'm going through as I'm elevating myself and raising my standards in my love life. I've been raising my standards in my diet and my health for years now, and it's incremental. you see the changes incrementally. So I want to take a moment right now, just do a little advertising. I'd love to see some more comments from you. I want to read a few more comments from the posts earlier. I hope some of those people have joined us in here. But I want to take a moment and say thank you so much for joining us here at FlyNubianQueen.com network, the network for melanated women just like me and you. Thank you so much for joining me, Deena Jacobs, here every Sunday night at 7 p.m. Pacific time and 10 p.m. Eastern time on the Facebook Live. And then later in the week, they'll have a rebroadcast that will be on FlyNubianQueen.com on YouTube. Now, if you didn't know, we do have an iTunes podcast called FlyNubianQueen.com. We do have a new, not sort of semi-new network called FlyNubianKingTV.com. That is the growing network for melanated men. Please text the word Queens to 31996 to receive text alerts and special offers. And if you haven't already, because when we do get that check and we get that land, we have to know what to do with it. Go over to FlyNubianMoney.com to learn about your money, and FlyNubianBusiness.com to learn how to start a business that is going to be long-term sustainable. Let's see. Last thing we want to talk about is Fly Nubian gear. You want to get some of that to support us? We would love to participate in commerce with you guys. Buy Black at shopfnq.com. So let me go back to some of these comments. We are discussing, are Black women prone to settling? Let's get a little bit more focused back into that. Do you guys think that Black women in particular are prone to settling? Now, while you guys throw some comments up in there, and I thank you guys who've already commented, let me scroll down just a bit and see. I want to read a couple of quotes to you guys. So I did this last week. Now, everybody's heard about Rihanna. She's dating this Arab billionaire and everything. And you guys remember Rihanna when she was getting beat up by Chris Brown and she was still in love with him and everything? And we were all kind of like, ooh, girl, you need to leave that alone. And she did, and she went off. And it's been years now. And you hear about Rihanna like kind of dating here and there, but nothing too serious. Now we have this situation, and she's dating a billionaire. Wow. Then you have the Sierra thing, where she kind of leveled herself up after Future and having a kid with a man who had a bunch of baby moms. And really, if you think about that, that's a situation where you can see that maybe Sierra was not at the time valuing herself. Like maybe she was settling and dealing with Future and the type of men she was dealing with in the past, dating mostly rappers, Lil Bow Wow, Future. There was a couple other ones in between. Men who weren't really up to the level of the type of man that she has now. And you can see how Sierra has blossomed as a woman, not just being with Russell, but how she started to take and shift herself from just being like an R&B diva to starting to be like a spokesmodel, to hosting, to just really, she was already pretty together as far as like being in shape, dancing, singing, but it's like she took it to another level, even though she had a broken engagement, just had a new baby with this guy who basically left her at the altar, so to speak, and had a bunch of other baby mamas, but she still knew that she could do better, and she raised her standards. That's the challenge. When you run into, I would challenge us as women, as queens, with this. When you run into a situation that is a failure, or you feel like, oh my God, this is a setback, or it's kind of messed you up in some kind of way, where you're just like, what is this? I got knocked down, like, don't ever feel like your standards are too high. Don't feel like you should, I should just be happy that, well, at least this didn't happen to me. That is the very time where you need to step back and say, okay, we need to pull a Sierra and be like, I need to level up. Because if that just happened to me with these set of circumstances and these standards, that means that I am not meant for this. And therefore, I need to take it to the next level. I need to raise my standards. I need to aim higher because I didn't hit this target. Maybe I'm aiming too low. Have you ever challenged yourself with that? Like, real talk, ladies. Have you ever challenged yourself when you face a setback instead of letting it like really mess you up? Like sometimes, yeah, you have to take a moment and you have to breathe. Just like, ooh, ooh, whoa, what was that? That knocked me down. I'm on my butt right now. Like I'm winded. Let me breathe. Let me think. Okay. That obstacle was right here. So maybe if I aim here, I can get over it. You see what I'm saying about mentality? Instead of, if you're experiencing certain things and you're aiming at a certain level, sometimes we've thought like, well, maybe, maybe I'm wanting too much. Maybe I'm expecting too much. I challenge us today as women in the community that when you experience those setbacks and you're dealing with the same type of people, you're experiencing a setback in your eating. And oh my God, with my eating, I can tell you guys so many stories where I gain weight, lost weight, gain weight, lost weight, kick the sugar habit, and then I'd be back on it. Like, binge eat. But each time, one of the things that brought me to a level of success with it is that each time I would raise my standard, I would get a little more strict, which is basically a form of discipline. Discipline helps you to raise your standards because discipline, it comes from being decisive, making decisions beforehand about what you're going to accept and what you're not going to accept, where your standard is, and being able to say gracefully, no, thank you, when someone presents you with something that is not to your standards or in your best interest. It is okay to say very politely and with a smile, so you don't hurt, if you don't want to hurt people's feelings, no, thank you. Oh my gosh, thank you for thinking of me, but no, thank you. That's not for me. I appreciate it though. And then if they're like, oh, well, you don't want this? You know what? What I enjoy. I like this, and I would really enjoy something in this whatever. And then you're just letting someone know where your standards are without being rude, without being, thank you for the thumbs up, guys. Please like, share if you haven't subscribed already. But that way you're kind of setting the tone and letting a person know what you are willing to accept, where your standard lies, while also being graceful in rejecting whatever it is that they're trying to get you to accept that's lower than what you want. We should, as queens, walk with our heads high. We should, as queens, I don't even know how to say this. I'm trying to put this into words in a way that really empowers us right now, ladies, queens, goddesses. We deserve to walk in esteem. We deserve to have our standards high. We deserve to aim for the highest goals that we want. We absolutely, as a community of women, are some of the most desired, imitated, appreciated, and worshiped women in this world, the African American woman. We are resilient. Notice I did not use the word strong, because I think the word strong has a lot of, in my opinion, masculine energy and negative connotations of us having to bear all of this stuff and be strong and out in the fields picking cotton and getting whipped and still, nursing my baby and nursing Mass's baby. I don't want to use the word strong because that's what I think about when I hear that. I'm using the word resilient, meaning that we can have some setbacks. But when you're resilient, when something's resilient, it bounces back up. So what we do is we get knocked down or something, or we have a challenge. And instead of settling in that moment and being like, oh my God, like, this happened. I don't know what I'm going to do. I done gained 10 pounds, or, how did I let myself get here? I'm 50 pounds overweight. I'm pre-diabetic. How did I get here? I lost my job. This is the fourth job I done lost. Okay, you've been working minimum wage jobs. Maybe you're not aiming high enough. Maybe you need to go online and take a class, a couple classes, some training, and look and see, aim higher. Maybe instead of just going for a job, maybe you're not meant for a job. Maybe you're supposed to be an entrepreneur. Maybe you're supposed to be an investor. Maybe that's what's going on. Maybe you're aiming too low, and that's why you keep getting kicked back, because frankly, sisters, queens, we don't even belong here at the bottom. We don't belong here. We belong at the top. That's why we're queens. And so I'm saying that we are resilient, meaning that when we get knocked back, we're down, and boom, we bounce back up even higher. We're setting our standards even higher when we get that setback. You're like, you know what? I don't think I'm supposed to be working a minimum wage job. I think I'm supposed to be in control of my income. So let me go over to Fly Nubian Business, and let me go over to Fly Nubian Money and figure out how I'm going to get all of my financing, my funding, manage my money, leverage somebody else's money, and get my business going that I have. Because I can cook, I can do hair, I'm really good with business, I'm good at coaching, whatever it is that you're good at. Maybe that's how we should shift our mindset, to think, I'm resilient and I deserve the best. And you start with your immediate surroundings and look around. I'm going to ask you ladies right now, name an area in your life that you feel like you're settling. And let's talk about how you can begin. I want this to come from you. I want you to think about it. How you can begin to change that. We have about 19 minutes left in this live stream. Let's get into some solutions. So we've already identified that, Black women can be a little bit more prone to settling, right? Okay, we kind of know why. It's a little bit historical. It's a little bit of shaming sometimes from people thinking that we're being too uppity. Oh, she's an uppity Negro. She bougie. And we're starting to take on a culture of low vibrational energy. We're in that zone where, it's just settling for the very least that can be given to you, if it's from the men, if it's from yourself, health-wise. No more. You deserve to eat the freshest and best high-quality food that is available on this earth. So start making those choices. When you look at processed foods, I'm not saying never, ever, ever touch a processed food again. But what you're saying to yourself is, you know what? I'm better than that McDonald's. I'm better than that Burger King. I'm better than that piece of fried chicken right now. Every once in a while, you might be like, you know what? I want to have a little bit of fried chicken. That's cool. But other times you might be like, I'm better than that. I love my body more than that. My body is worth more to me. I honor my temple by giving it the best, right? That's soda. Soda? That's just sugar water. I deserve to have some fresh watermelon juice with the seeds in it made in my Vitamix blender. And then I'm going to add a little agave or some fresh honey that came from the farmer's market. And that is going to be what I use to quench my thirst, because I'm a queen. That's how you start to think about yourself. And yes, it is bougie. And yes, it is prissy. But I am a Black woman. I'm an African American woman. And me and my ancestors, we built this thing. So we deserve the best. Look at this. It's the best country in the world. And our ancestors created that. So we will be accepting only the best offers, only the best things in life, period, from this point forward. What do you think about that, ladies? Let's do it, you know? Let's do it. What do you think? Do you agree? Let me see what you guys have to say. Sandra Blythe Jennings, my girl, thank you for chiming in so much. I'm so glad you're here. We the most forgiving people on earth. They make ghettos, not us. It was always a project and still is. The lion's den with them and their habits will not get us where we need to be. We definitely don't want to pick up the nasty habits of the powers that be. They do have some very nasty habits, violent tendencies and things like that. We don't want that. Absolutely, I agree with you. But I do want to make sure that we maintain a certain amount of responsibility because we are not helpless, as I'm sure you know that, Sandra. So, yes, there are powers that be. There are systems in place. But if we are playing chess, then we have to make moves accordingly. So when they set up a ghetto or a project, then we have to look at that situation. We got to strategize on how to maximize the benefit of that trap. Have you guys ever, for example, a quick sidebar, set down a trap for a mouse and put like a piece of food or some peanut butter on it, and you wake up in the morning and you see that somehow they done got it off of the thing without setting off the trap or getting stuck in the glue trap? That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about, Sandra. I'm talking about raising your thinking, raising your vibration, right? To say, yeah, I see the trap. I see that I am in the hood and I'm walking around and all I see is liquor stores and all I see is fast food joints, and the nearest Whole Food or farmer's market is a half an hour to 45 minutes away. But I deserve that. I'm going to put on my meditation music, or I'm going to listen to my podcast, or, you know, I'm going to dictate notes on the ride up to the farmer's market in the morning. And I'm going to spend some me time or whatever, make a day of it and go, because I deserve that. I deserve the best. I'm not going to let that stop me from getting what I deserve. You see what I'm saying? Because it is a trap. It's a trap to get you caught up and stuck in some BS that is beneath you. And I would never want I don't want to see you like that. I'm definitely not going to have myself like that. And I definitely don't want to see our community like that, thinking that these traps that are laid, that we need to focus on them in the sense of, oh my God, there's all these traps. It's like, there's a bunch of traps. Awesome. Okay. So that must mean they're trying to keep me from something good. Okay, they got a lot of traps laid, huh? Awesome. I'm still going to get the best because that's what I deserve. So that's just letting me know, they just reaffirming my queenness because they setting all these traps. Isn't that what they do in chess? They try to set up little traps with the pawns and the rooks and everything so that they can just capture your man or capture your queen, right? That's what they're trying to do to us. So we just have to look at the situation, see their strategy, because their strategy is not slick. It's all up out in the open. If you really look at it, they're not slick with anything. All you got to do is see it and then move around it. Move around it. Go over it. Elevate yourself above the trap. That's what those mice and those rats do when you put that piece of cheese or that peanut butter on that trap and you come in the morning and somehow all of that peanut butter and that cheese and everything is gone and they ain't in the trap. The trap ain't even get set off. They said, you know what? I'm still going to get mine regardless. I see the trap, but I deserve what's there. So let me figure out how to touch this lightly or go around it or do what I need to do. Sometimes I know that I've seen in the past where they don't even go for the trap, the peanut butter and stuff you put on the trap. They like, we see that and we gonna keep it moving. You see what I'm saying? So that's what I'm kind of talking about. So Lenora says, we settle all the time. We go for men who don't know how to love us. We take dead-end jobs, let family and friends use us. Well, Lenora, my darling, let's change that. Let's change that. If you go to flynubianmoney.com, you go to flynubianbusiness.com, please take a look at those things. Yes, it is a business, right? But it can give you some insight into investing, how to get out of those traps with the dead end jobs, and how to start to make passive income, how to acquire and invest in assets that are going to give back. That's what we deserve. When they went over to Africa and picked up a bunch of people that became their slaves, that was something that kept paying them and paying them and paying them and paying them and paying them until now we have something called the stock market. We have all of these things where you can make money in America without working for it. We as a people should be learning how to take advantage of that, because at one point we should be the best at taking advantage of that, because at one point we were exactly that. We were the thing that was providing all kinds of income and benefits generationally to these people who did not work for it. So go learn about those things so that you can benefit from it. Yeah, we're going to get what we're owed, but in the meantime, put yourself in that position that to be able to receive the best. Let's put ourselves in position as queens, as kings, to be ready to receive the best. We're not settling. We got to elevate. I deserve the best, and I will only accept the best. I'm not accepting the BS anymore. Only the best. You don't have to make a big announcement about it. All you have to do is just shift yourself. You know what? I'm not available for that. Somebody wants you to go to something ratchet. You know what? I'm not available. Well, girl, what you doing? I have a couple of other things planned. I'm just not going to be able to make it. I hope you guys have fun, though. Have a good time. And you keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? I say if you sprinkle a little sugar onto the way that you turn down and kind of begin to let people know that you have a higher standard, then that is the way that it will be better received. Now, that doesn't mean that somebody's still not going to come back and be like, girl, you think you all that? And you should too, my dear. You should too. Yes, we all, if we're going to sit here and call ourselves queens, then we need to act accordingly and have those standards set. We need to have those standards set high, like a queen deserves. Hey, y'all remember that Remember the Time video by Michael Jackson when Iman was like, I'm bored. And then they kept bringing in all these cheesy entertainers, and she was like, till Michael came in and was doing all his magic. That's where we need to be. We need to be at the point where it's like, no, don't just be bringing us no fire eaters and no people trying to tame animals and all this, doing juggling and stuff. I need the best. And the best was who? Michael Jackson doing all his magic tricks. That's what we need to be. That's where we need to be. We need to go back and look at that video and take a few cues from Iman and her situation with how she was on her throne. Put yourself on your throne. It doesn't mean that you have to be arrogant. You can be polite about it. Matter of fact, it's even more queenly to be polite about it. It's more regal to be polite about it. Here's your new phrase. No, thank you. And in your mind, you can say, I deserve better than that. So when somebody presents you with some cake from the grocery store, that ain't even all that good. They're using like the worst quality ingredients. They got a bunch of chemicals in it. My cake has to be freshly made and organic. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to say that out loud, but you can think that to yourself, that I deserve the best. I deserve better than some store-bought cake that you got from the grocery store on sale for 99 cents. No, thank you. If it was cheap like that and easily accessible, it's probably not very good. And that goes for a lot of things, including penis. If it's easy available to you and everybody else, I deserve better than that. I deserve better than a man who's slinging his stuff around to any and everybody. I deserve better than a man that's going to send me a video of his penis and I just met him. that makes me feel like it probably ain't worth nothing. And it's probably dirty and used up the way he's throwing it around like that. And I know that I personally deserve better than that. You're dropping seeds in how many women? I deserve better than that. I deserve better than to be your baby's mom, especially baby's mom number 5. We have to get to that place. And again, no shade to the women who are going through that now or have gone through that. Everybody makes mistakes. Again, Sierra is a perfect example. Doesn't mean that you can't still raise your standards. Just because you might have 3 or 4 kids or whatever, you still have room to raise your standards on what you will and won't accept. Let's do that, ladies. Oh my gosh, time has gone by. Let's see what else you guys have to say. 17 comments. I really appreciate you guys being so vocal here. Sandra Black Jenny said you worded it perfectly. Thanks, sis. I appreciate you for being open-minded, and I appreciate you for making comments and having a discussion with me. Craig Muhammad, Black women all have a gift. That's why you all are jewels. Thank you, Craig. That's a king right there. He's worshiping us. That's right. And we should love that, instead of being like, being all corny and stuff. He is just worshiping. He's one of my loyal subjects. Why would I ever give time to a man who wasn't, like that, who was not seeing my greatness, who was not giving me some forms of worship, and put it in making sure that my throne is preserved, my position on my throne is preserved and protected and provided for. We are queens, Sandra Black Jenny says, and we must carry ourselves as such with pride and dignity up front, not anger or shade. Yes, sister! For one another, once again, unity is the key for our men, family, and community. Yes, Sandra, please continue to spread that loving word. We are what we eat and drink. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, we are vibing here right now. I appreciate you. Let's see who we got. Craig. And I expect the best. Yes, you should expect the best, Craig. My name only means one who is worthy of praise and is praised much. Yes, brother. I love where you guys are going. This is really good energy. This is where we need to vibrate. This is where we need to be. Doesn't mean that we ignore the problems that we have in our community, but we also need to spend time elevating each other and feeling good together, because sometimes we get into a space where all we do as a community, we get online or we get together and we talk about all these things that are going wrong or going bad, or, oh, these white people, oh, did you see that hearing with the reparations? And them folks, them some coons and this and that. But we need to take time also to get together and do this. Penny Mitchell, yes, queen, yes, I feel you. Emoda Abibi, Black women will always be single. We always have to be the leaders. See what I'm saying? Emoda, my darling. I don't know about you, but I am better than that. I deserve better than that. We are leaders as women, but we lead from a feminine place. So we lead from a place of setting standards internally and then moving in life with that energy of deserving only and accepting only the best. That's how we lead. That's how we lead. By being open, being warm. We don't have to throw shade, but we do have to let people know sometimes that, no, thank you. No, I'm sorry, that's not going to work out. No, that's not for me. Sometimes you have to tell a man, you know what? No, this isn't going to work. No, thank you. And then he's like, well, you won't be single, expecting all that. Maybe, but I know that I can do better than what you're offering. And you ain't gonna be single. Let me tell you guys a story if I haven't told you all this story before. I have a friend. She was very picky. She did not settle. She had a list. She made a list of 100 characteristics that she wanted in her husband. We were so concerned about her because she was turning down guys left and right. And looking back, none of them are at the level that her husband is, that she's with. It did take her 7 years to encounter him, for them to meet. But she stayed faithful and she kept her standards high. Now she's happily married. She has a baby, a happy, healthy little baby. And, you know, things are going good. They both have the careers that they want. They're living happily. They've been married now, I think, for, has it been 5 years? I think 5 years. But she kept her standard high and she held out. Now, does she have moments where she was like, man, I'm single. Oh, this sucks. Yeah, everybody does. Did she go on a few dates here and there? Yes, but when she identified that a man was not right, she did not move forward. No matter how much I was like, girl, give him a chance, or family members were like, girl, what's going on? Like, why you don't have anybody? She did not let that deter her. She stayed focused and she kept her standards high. And now she's married to a man who adores her, treats her well. She doesn't have to work if she doesn't want to. They have a beautiful baby together. He's a great guy. He doesn't do drugs. He's not sitting on the couch. He has a great career. He has plans for their future. They have a great family, like his family gets along with her family. These are the things that she wanted. And she stayed focused on her journey towards achieving that thing. Her aim was high. So, Imoda Abibi, I'm saying to you that keep your standards high. That is not, Black women will always be single. I mean, I know a lot of most of my friends are not single. Most of my friends are either married or in relationships. So, I'm not sure where you are or who you're surrounded by, but that is not the case. And most of my friends are in relationships with pretty great guys. So, I don't know. I guess it all depends on from where you sit. Penny Michelle, for real, I am better than that. Thank you for this, queen. You are so welcome. I really want you guys to use this. Like, use this, sisters. Use this, queens. You know, just think about it. This is the greatest country in the world. And our ancestors, we come from the greatest line of people out here. That's why we the most imitated, the most elevated, the most worshipped, and the most desired women in the world. Like, don't ever believe it. If you travel outside of the United States, you will see that the Black woman is everything. And part of it is because they see what we, with our kings, have created. We built this country. And this is the greatest country in the world. The most prosperous country, the most creative country, because all the creativity and culture comes from us. And it is imitated and celebrated worldwide. Think about that as you are projecting and aiming. I come from a long line of kings and queens and people who have built and elevated and made this place prosperous and creative and amazing. I deserve only the best, and I will not settle for less than what I deserve. I am a queen, right? You say this to yourself in the mirror, and you just let them know, I am a Black woman. I am an American descendant of slaves, and I only accept the best. If we start to walk in that, instead of being ashamed, like, oh my God, I'm an American descendant of slave and they done did this to all. No. We are the survivors. We are the heirs to that. And we walk in a certain way. That's why we call ourselves queens. Because we come from those who not only survived, but thrived in those situations and created this amazing place. That's where we need to sit. That's where we need to focus and let people know that we will only accept the best. It's going to have to be a fact check and a lot of prime real estate because my ancestors built this place. You better get a little bit snobby with it. So when a brother comes to you with some foolishness, you're like, no, 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 king. Mm-mm. No, thank you. I only accept the best. No shade. Anyway, guys, I just want to let you know how much I love and appreciate you for being here. And I also want to say thank you to the FlyNubianQueen.com network for allowing me, Deena Jacobs, to have a platform here every single Sunday at 7 p.m. Pacific time, 10 p.m. Eastern time. And if there are any subjects you would like for me to touch upon, you can follow me at Deena Jacobs, Deena Jacobs, Flaunt, Flaunt's on Instagram. DM me if you have a subject that you'd like me to discuss here. Thank you guys so much for being about this. Once a king and a queen, always a king and a queen, says Craig Muhammad. I'm going to read a couple more comments before I get out of here. Cheryl Pack, also, there's nothing wrong with being single. There's nothing wrong with being single until you're ready to not be single. And there's nothing wrong with it when you're ready to not be single. That's when it's going to come to be that you will be a part of a couple. That's life. People are always trying to shame us. But there is no shame and there is no shade in how great we are. So start to treat yourself accordingly. Honor your temple. I only put the best in my temple. You know, I exercise my temple. I walk it around. You know, I take care of it. I put the finest clothes on that I can. I cover it and protect it because it's precious. I only reveal it to those who are worthy and deserving subjects, or my equals, or someone who can raise my standard. If my standard is already high and then I can have a man come along and even raise my standard even more, then, well, he's worth it, right? What type of work I'm going to do? I'm going to use my mind and I'm going to use my creativity to acquire assets or create assets that are going to be giving back to me, because we did that for them. So why wouldn't we do that for ourselves? Why wouldn't we do that for ourselves? So make sure, if you haven't already, please subscribe, like, and share this with people. FlyNubianQueen.com, on Facebook, on YouTube. Go to iTunes and download us and subscribe to the podcast. If you haven't already, FlyNubianKingTV.com, our growing network for melanated men. Text the word Queens to 31996 to receive text alerts and special offers. Also, if you haven't checked out our Fly Nubian Queen gear, please go to shopfnq.com. I want to say thank you guys so much for being here. Are Black women prone to settle for less? I'm going to end this by saying, not any longer. Right, ladies? Right, queens and kings? Not any longer. From this point forward, Black women are prone to only ever accept the best. Good night.